The Galactic Council's meeting chamber fell silent as Admiral Krell stepped up to the podium. His gray skin appeared almost ashen under the purple lights as he cleared his throat, tentacles twitching nervously at his sides. "Esteemed delegates," he began, his voice echoing through the vast, domed hall. "I come before you today with disturbing news. After centuries of observation, our research division has completed its assessment of the species known as humans and their homeworld, Earth." Krell tapped a control panel, and a holographic image of a blue-green planet appeared above the assembly. "We recommend that Earth be classified as a Class X danger zone, the most dangerous planet in our known galaxy." Murmurs rippled through the gathering of over 300 alien species. Many had never even heard of this remote world on the outer spiral arm of an unremarkable galaxy. "This is unprecedented," objected Representative Mori, her crystalline form shimmering with agitation. "No planet has ever received such a classification. What possible justification could there be?" Krell nodded gravely. "That is precisely why I have come in person. The evidence is concerning." The hologram shifted to show various human activities: construction, athletics, warfare, and scientific experiments. "Humans evolved on a death world," Krell explained. "Their planet has extreme temperature variations, constant natural disasters, lethal radiation from their sun, and over 8 million species, many of which are venomous or predatory. They should have gone extinct. Instead, they thrived." The Admiral touched another control, and the hologram displayed human medical procedures. "They cut themselves open to perform healing rituals. They deliberately expose themselves to weakened pathogens to build immunity. They exercise by repeatedly damaging and repairing their muscle tissues for strength." Representative Dorn raised a tentacle. "Many species have unusual medical practices. This hardly." "They put recreational poisons in their food and drinks," Krell interrupted. "Substances that would kill most of us. Caffeine, capsaicin, alcohol. They consume for pleasure." More murmurs rippled through the chamber. "They created nuclear weapons within decades of discovering atomic theory," Krell continued. "Their entertainment consists largely of simulated violence and death. Their young engage in activities with high probabilities of injurious play." The hologram shifted to show humans engaging in extreme sports: skydiving, deep-sea diving, mountain climbing. "Most concerning is their psychological makeup," Krell said. "Humans are simultaneously communal and fiercely independent. They exhibit great empathy, yet can dehumanize enemies. They wage war over resources, ideas, and invisible territorial lines, yet risk their lives to save strangers and even other species." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Our xenopsychologists believe they have a unique condition we're calling adaptive insanity. They constantly oscillate between contradictory beliefs and behaviors depending on context. This makes them unpredictable." The chamber erupted with questions, but Krell raised his hands for silence. "There's more. Their technological development is accelerating at an unprecedented rate. At their current pace, they will achieve interstellar travel within 50 years. Representative Mori's crystalline form pulsed anxiously. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" Krell's expression was grim. "The committee recommends immediate establishment of a quarantine zone around the Sol system. No contact is to be initiated. No vessels are to approach within 5 light years." "Isn't that extreme?" asked Dorn. "Other predator species have joined the Council peacefully. Other predator species don't consider death a challenge to overcome, rather than an inevitability," Krell replied. "Humans don't just survive their death world. They're constantly trying to make themselves more lethal, more resilient, and more adaptable." He gestured, and the hologram showed a final image. A human child learning to walk, falling repeatedly, but getting up each time. "Humans have one quality that makes them uniquely dangerous," Krell concluded. "They never, ever give up." 3 standard years after the quarantine declaration, Lieutenant Tara Reid sat at her monitoring station aboard the Galactic Council Observation Post Sentinel-7, fighting to stay awake during another uneventful shift. The facility orbited in the shadow of a gas giant at the edge of the Sol quarantine zone, tasked with ensuring humans remained blissfully unaware of the wider galactic community. "Anything on the scanners?" asked Commander Brill, ambling over to her station. The bulky reptilian had been running this post for decades and seemed as bored as everyone else assigned to this backwater posting. "Same as yesterday, Commander. And the day before that," Tara replied, stifling a yawn. Her attention drifted to the holographic display showing Earth's communications, mostly entertainment broadcasts the station intercepted. Currently, it was playing something called a disaster movie, where humans fantasized about surviving planetary cataclysms. "Strange creatures," Brill commented, watching humans outrun explosions on screen. "They're obsessed with their own destruction." A sudden alarm blared, causing both officers to jump. Tara's fingers flew across the controls. "Proximity alert. Unidentified object entering the quarantine zone." Brill leaned over her shoulder. "Classification: unknown, sir. It's... Wait, that can't be right." She recalibrated the sensors. "Sir, it appears to be a primitive spacecraft. Hydrogen propulsion. Minimal shielding." "Human?" Brill asked incredulously. "Must be. The trajectory originates from Mars." Tara checked another reading. "Sir, there's a life sign aboard. A single human." Brill stared at the readout, mandibles clicking anxiously. "Impossible. Our models predicted they were decades away from this level of space travel." The door slid open as Admiral Krell himself entered the control room, obviously alerted by the alarm. "Report," he demanded. Tara swallowed nervously. "Human vessel, sir. Crude but functional. They've achieved interplanetary travel decades ahead of our projections." Krell's tentacles writhed in agitation. "Containment has been breached. We must enact Protocol Omega." "Sir," Brill objected, "it's just one vessel, barely out of their home system. The classifications exist for a reason." "Commander," Krell snapped, "we cannot risk contact." Tara studied the vessel's specifications on her screen. "Sir, with respect, this craft poses no threat. Their propulsion system is inefficient, their navigation rudimentary. They haven't even detected our outpost." "The danger isn't their technology, Lieutenant. It's what they represent." Krell moved to the central console. "This confirms our worst fears. Humans are expanding faster than anticipated." He activated the communications array. "This is Admiral Krell requesting immediate reinforcement at the Sol quarantine zone. Human containment has been compromised. I repeat, humans have breached containment." As the message transmitted, Tara returned her attention to the small spacecraft. Its lone occupant was now sending out a jubilant message toward Earth. "The Mark II has cleared Mars orbit. All systems nominal. This is pilot Jack Thompson broadcasting to Houston Control. The Jupiter mission is a go." Tara felt a pang of sympathy for this Jack Thompson. He had no idea that his triumphant journey had just triggered a galactic panic. Within hours, the observation post was swarming with Council security forces. Tara watched from her station as sleek enforcement vessels took positions throughout the system, staying carefully hidden from Earth's primitive detection systems. "Lieutenant Reid," Krell said, approaching her station, "your familiarity with human patterns makes you valuable. What do you make of this?" He gestured to the monitor showing the lone human spacecraft, now being trailed by an invisible Council probe. "They're explorers, sir," she replied honestly. "Their entire history is defined by pushing boundaries." "Exactly why they're dangerous," Krell said grimly. "The committee has approved enhanced containment measures. Nothing leaves this system." "Sir," Tara ventured, "perhaps we're overreacting. This is primitive exploration, not invasion." Krell's expression darkened. "Primitive. 3 years ago, they hadn't left their moon. Now they're halfway to Jupiter. Their adaptation rate is unprecedented." He gestured toward the monitor showing Earth broadcasts. "Look at them. They tell stories about conquering the stars, defeating alien armadas, surviving apocalypses. Even their fiction reveals their nature. They're not just explorers, Lieutenant. They're conquerors waiting to happen." Deep in the Galactic Council's central archives, Archivist Dale Larson hunched over his workstation, his human appearance carefully concealed beneath holographic projectors that made him look like a standard Proxian bureaucrat. For 20 years, he had maintained his cover as a low-level data analyst, all while secretly documenting the Council's activities regarding Earth. "Access denied" flashed across his screen for the third time as he attempted to view the latest security protocols for the Sol quarantine zone. "Problems with the database again, Archivist Mole?" asked a voice behind him. Dale quickly closed the terminal window before turning to face Supervisor Jenk, keeping his holographic Proxian features arranged in what he hoped was a neutral expression. "Just some corrupted data files," Dale lied smoothly. "Nothing I can't handle." When Jenk finally left, Dale returned to his real work. 20 years ago, he had been a linguist on the first human deep space mission when his vessel was intercepted by a Council ship. The crew was taken, studied, and scheduled for memory wiping and return to Earth. But Dale had escaped and assumed the identity of a deceased Proxian official. Ever since, he had been gathering intelligence about the galactic civilization that had designated his homeworld as too dangerous to contact. His communicator vibrated with an encrypted message from his only ally, Lieutenant Tara Reed. "Quarantine escalated. Thompson mission intercepted. They're taking him." Dale's heart sank. He had hoped the Council would ignore the lone Jupiter mission, but it seemed they were growing more aggressive in their containment of humanity. He quickly composed a reply. "Can you access his ship's systems remotely?" The response came moments later. "Already done. Uploaded the package before they secured it." Dale smiled grimly. The package was a computer virus of his design, intended to transfer all data from the Council's examination of Thompson and his vessel back to Dale's secure server. It wasn't much, but it might provide valuable intelligence about the Council's methods and technology. Later that night, safe in his private quarters, Dale reviewed the data from Thompson's captured ship. What he found chilled him to the bone. The Council wasn't just observing Earth anymore. They had placed satellites throughout the Sol system designed to subtly interfere with human space missions. Engine failures, radiation leaks, navigation errors. Many of the tragic accidents that had plagued human space exploration weren't accidents at all. But that wasn't the worst of it. According to internal communications, a faction within the Council was pushing for more direct intervention, arguing that humanity's rapid advancement posed an existential threat to galactic stability. Dale encrypted a message to Tara. "Need access to Containment Committee records. Time may be running out." 3 days later, Dale sat in a secluded corner of the archives, carefully reviewing the classified files Tara had managed to obtain. His worst fears were confirmed. The Containment Committee had approved a new measure called Operation Firebreak, designed to set back human technological development by at least a century. The details made his blood run cold. The plan involved engineered solar flares targeted to destroy Earth's communications and power infrastructure, followed by what they euphemistically called limited population management through artificially intensified natural disasters. The operation was scheduled to begin in just 2 weeks. Dale's mind raced. He had to warn Earth, but how? All communications in and out of the Sol system were monitored. His covert messages to Tara were only possible because of her position and specialized equipment. He stared at his reflection in the darkened screen. The Proxian holographic disguise momentarily deactivated in his private workspace. For 20 years, he had hidden among aliens, learning their ways, their technologies, their weaknesses. Perhaps it was time for the first human spy in the galactic community to become the first human saboteur. Dale reactivated his disguise and headed toward the restricted technology sector of the archives. If he couldn't warn Earth directly, perhaps he could disrupt Operation Firebreak from within. As he walked, he reviewed what he knew about Council technology. Unlike humans, who had developed digital technology and artificial intelligence early, most council species had focused on biological computing and organic technology. Their systems were advanced, but followed fundamentally different principles than human computer science, which meant the virus he had created to extract data from Thompson's ship could be modified to do much more damage to council systems than they would ever anticipate. Sometimes, Dale muttered to himself as he entered the restricted section, "Being dangerously unpredictable has its advantages." Admiral Krell stood before the containment committee, his tentacles arranged in a formal posture of respect. "Operation Firebreak preparations are complete," he reported. "Our vessels are in position near the human sun, ready to initiate the targeted solar flare sequence." Director Vex, the ancient Meridian who headed the committee, leaned forward. "The Council remains divided on this action, Admiral. Many believe direct intervention violates our prime directive of non-interference." "With respect, Director," Krell replied, "the threat assessment is clear. Humans have already launched 17 more deep space missions since the Thompson incident. Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented." Another committee member, Representative Maury, interjected. "But engineered disasters, targeted population reduction. These measures seem extreme." "The classification wasn't made lightly," Krell insisted. "Humans aren't just advancing. They're advancing in directions that suggest inherent aggression. Their space vessels increasingly dual purpose as potential weapons platforms. Their artificial intelligence research continues despite multiple catastrophic failures." The chamber's door slid open, and a junior officer rushed in, breaking protocol. "Admiral, our systems are experiencing widespread failures. The operation is compromised." Chaos erupted in the committee chamber as status reports flooded in. Across council space, communication networks were crashing, navigation systems failing, and security protocols being bypassed. In the confusion, no one noticed Lieutenant Tara Reid slipping away from her monitoring station aboard Sentinel-7. By the time her unauthorized departure in a scout ship was detected, she was already accelerating toward Earth, carrying with her the one thing that could change everything: the truth. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Anna Miller stared perplexed at the astronomical data flooding her laboratory's monitors. "This can't be right," she muttered, adjusting her equipment. For weeks, her team had been detecting strange energy signatures at the edge of the solar system, signatures that matched no known natural phenomena. And now something was headed directly toward Earth at impossible speeds. "Dr. Miller," her assistant called urgently, "Military Command is on the line. They're tracking the same object." Within hours, every major observatory and military installation on the planet was focused on the approaching anomaly. Unlike the slow chemical propulsion of human spacecraft, this object moved with a grace that defied known physics, decelerating rapidly as it approached Earth orbit. Global defense forces went on high alert. Nuclear missiles were armed. Fighter squadrons scrambled. And yet, Anna felt strangely calm as she watched the object's approach on her monitors. "It's not attacking," she observed. "It's broadcasting." Indeed, the vessel, for it was clearly an artificial craft of some kind, was transmitting on multiple frequencies. Most were incomprehensible, but one used basic binary code that Anna's computers could translate. The message was simple: "I am human. I bring morning and knowledge. Request safe landing coordinates." 12 hours later, Anna stood among a group of senior military and scientific personnel at a remote airbase as the sleek alien craft settled gently onto the runway. Armed soldiers surrounded the landing site, weapons trained on the vessel's single hatch. With a soft hiss, the hatch opened, and a figure emerged, a woman in an unfamiliar uniform, her hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. "My name is Lieutenant Tara Reid," she announced. 23 years ago, I was born on this planet in a city called Vancouver. I was abducted as a child during what you were told was a camping accident. I've been living among the Galactic Council species as part of a long-term study of humans. She took a deep breath, looking around at the stunned faces. "I've come to warn you. Earth has been classified as a Class X danger zone, the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. And now, the Council has authorized an operation to cripple human civilization before you can reach the stars." As military leaders bombarded her with questions, Tara locked eyes with Anna. "I brought technological specifications, star maps, and proof of what I'm saying. But most importantly, I brought something they tried to hide from you." She held up a small device, "the knowledge that you're not alone, and that despite what they believe, humanity deserves its place among the stars." In the silence that followed, Anna stepped forward and took the device from Tara's outstretched hand. The first official exchange between humanity and the wider galactic community. The emergency session of the United Nations Security Council stretched into its third day as world leaders grappled with the implications of Tara Reid's revelations. The chamber, once divided by national interests, now united by a common extraterrestrial threat, buzzed with tense energy. "The evidence is irrefutable," Dr. Anna Miller explained, projecting holographic images captured from Tara's ship. "The Galactic Council has been actively sabotaging our space program for decades. The Columbia disaster, the Mars expedition failure, the International Space Station power fluctuations, all deliberate interference." General Marcus Blackwood, head of the newly formed United Earth Defense Initiative, stood next to her. "What we're facing isn't just technological suppression. According to Lieutenant Reid's intelligence, Operation Firebreak involves engineered solar activity designed to wipe out our power grids and communications worldwide." "How long do we have?" asked the Chinese representative. "Lieutenant Reid believes her actions have temporarily disrupted their systems," Anna replied. "But our best estimate is 2 weeks, perhaps less, before they regroup." The American president leaned forward. "And what exactly is our defense plan against an adversary with this level of technological advantage?" General Blackwood's expression was grim. "Conventional weapons are useless against their shielding technology. Nuclear options would be detected and neutralized before impact. We're outmatched in every conventional metric." "Then we surrender?" the Russian delegate asked incredulously. "No," Anna interjected. "We do what humans have always done. We adapt. We improvise. We use their expectations against them." She gestured, and a new hologram appeared, detailed schematics of Council technology. "Thanks to Lieutenant Reid and another human operative within the Council, we now understand how their systems work. Their technology is advanced but fundamentally different from ours. They rely heavily on biological computing and quantum entanglement for communications. And there's something crucial they overlooked." Anna highlighted a section of the schematic. "Their systems have virtually no protection against digital viruses. They never developed cybersecurity as we understand it because their computing architecture evolved differently." "Are you suggesting we hack an alien civilization?" the British representative asked skeptically. "Precisely," Anna confirmed. "We've already begun adapting our most sophisticated cyber weapons to target their systems. But for delivery, we need to get close to their command ships." General Blackwood took over, which is why we've accelerated the Prometheus project. He displayed images of massive construction facilities where engineers swarmed over what appeared to be modified versions of Earth's most advanced spacecraft. "Using Lieutenant Reid's technological insights, we've retrofitted our existing space fleet with rudimentary versions of Council propulsion and shielding technology. They won't match Council ships for power, but they don't need to. They just need to get close enough to deploy our digital weapons." The UN Secretary-General surveyed the room. "This plan requires unprecedented global cooperation. All space-capable nations must contribute resources, personnel, and expertise. It's not just cooperation we need," Anna added quietly. "It's secrecy. The Council believes us to be primitive, isolated, and unaware of their existence. That misperception is our greatest advantage." As the session continued, halfway across the world, Lieutenant Tara Reeves stood in a hardened underground facility, surrounded by Earth's leading computer scientists and engineers. The virus deployment needs to be simultaneous across all their systems, she explained, highlighting key nodes in the Council's network architecture. Their communications rely on quantum entanglement, but the actual processing occurs in biological computing nodes with minimal digital security. A young programmer raised her hand. Won't they detect the intrusion? Eventually, Tara acknowledged. But their experience with digital warfare is limited. By the time they understand what's happening, it should be too late. She paused, looking at the determined faces around her. I need to warn you. What we're planning will be seen as an act of war by the Council. There's no going back from this. They already declared war, responded one of the engineers grimly. They just didn't bother to tell us. As Earth mobilized in secret, in the vast darkness of space beyond Jupiter, Council enforcement vessels continued their preparations, unaware that the primitives they sought to contain were about to demonstrate exactly why they had been classified as the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Archivist Dale Larson, still maintaining his Proxian disguise, moved cautiously through the Council's central command station. Around him, technicians worked frantically to restore systems damaged by his initial cyber attack. The disruption had bought Earth precious time, but the Council was adapting faster than he had hoped. Containment Fleet reports all systems restored and operational, announced a communications officer. Operation Firebreak can proceed on schedule. Dale's heart sank. He had hoped for more delay. His encrypted communicator vibrated silently against his skin with an incoming message from Earth. Prometheus launches in 6 hours. Hold position and prepare for simultaneous attack. 6 hours. He needed to find a way to sabotage the command station's defense systems before then. Keeping his movements casual, Dale made his way toward the central server hub, the small data chip in his pocket containing the final version of the virus Earth had developed. Archivist Mole called a security officer, making Dale freeze in his tracks. Your presence is requested in the command center. Director Vex has questions about archive data corruption. Dale nodded calmly despite his racing pulse. Of course, I'll report immediately. This unexpected summons could either be his doom or an opportunity. The command center would give him access to more critical systems, but also placed him under greater scrutiny. As he followed the security officer, Dale activated the emergency beacon on his communicator, alerting Earth to the complication. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's Mojave Desert, Lieutenant Tara Reid watched as the Prometheus fleet made final launch preparations. 12 vessels, modified from existing space programs and enhanced with reverse-engineered Council technology, stood ready on launch pads. They looked so primitive compared to Council ships, she remarked to General Blackwood, who stood beside her in the control center. Primitive but effective, he replied. The outer hulls are deliberately designed to appear less advanced than they actually are. We want them to underestimate us until the last possible moment. The mission commander's voice came over the speakers. All vessels report ready, awaiting final authorization. General Blackwood looked to the president, who nodded solemnly. Operation Prometheus is go. Good hunting. Across the globe, in similar facilities, other vessels prepared for launch. Within 30 minutes, Earth's first interplanetary defense fleet was accelerating toward the outer solar system, using the modified propulsion systems that allowed them to move at speeds previously thought impossible by human science. On the Council command station, Dale stood before Director Vex, maintaining his Proxian facade with practiced ease. Archivist Mole, Vex began. Our security protocols have detected unusual access patterns in the archives. Multiple restricted files regarding Earth have been viewed using your credentials. Dale's mind raced, calculating his options. Yes, Director. I was compiling historical data on Class X species for the Containment Committee. All proper authorization codes were used. Vex studied him with ancient knowing eyes, curious that you would focus so exclusively on Earth. Before Dale could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A junior officer rushed in. Director, multiple vessels detected leaving Earth's atmosphere. They appear to be using simplified versions of Council propulsion technology. Vex rose sharply. Impossible. Dale used the distraction to edge toward a nearby control panel. He needed just a few seconds to insert the data chip. Full alert. Vex commanded. Order the containment fleet to intercept. How could they have acquired our technology? Another officer reported urgently. Director, the Earth vessels are transmitting a message on all frequencies. Let me hear it, Vex demanded. A human voice filled the command center. Attention, Galactic Council forces. This is General Marcus Blackwood of Earth's United Defense Initiative. We are aware of your presence and your planned attack on our world. We request immediate dialogue and cessation of all hostile activities. We have no desire for conflict, but will defend our planet and our right to exist among the stars. The space between Jupiter and Saturn became a silent battleground as Earth's Prometheus fleet scattered into defensive formations. The Council containment vessels, sleek and imposing, accelerated toward them with weapons charging. They're targeting our propulsion systems, reported Tara Reid, who had insisted on joining the mission despite the risks. Her intimate knowledge of Council tactics made her invaluable. Standard procedure: disable and capture. General Blackwood, commanding from the flagship Prometheus Alpha, studied the tactical display. Exactly as we expected. Time to show them why humanity's dangerous. Deploy Phase 1. Across the Earth fleet, small objects ejected into space, seemingly simple satellites that began broadcasting on frequencies that matched the Council's command and control systems. Aboard the Council command vessel, Admiral Krell watched with disdain. They're deploying some kind of primitive communication buoys. Scan them for weapons potential. No weapons detected, reported his tactical officer. They appear to be broadcasting. Wait, they're mimicking our secure channels. Jam them, Krell ordered sharply. But it was already too late. The decoy satellites had created enough distraction for the real attack to begin. Throughout the Council fleet, navigation systems suddenly displayed conflicting data. Shield harmonics fluctuated. Targeting systems lost lock. On the command station, Dale Larson's virus had reached critical mass, spreading from system to system. Warning indicators flashed across control panels as crucial systems began failing. We're under some kind of attack, an officer cried out. Director Vex turned to Krell. What's happening? Unknown, the Admiral admitted. It appears to be affecting our biological computing nodes. The system is trying to isolate it. But his words cut off as the main view screen flickered and changed, displaying a simple message in the common Council language. We are not your enemy, but we will know to be your victims. In the confusion, Dale slipped away from the command center, making his way toward the shuttle bay. His cover was almost certainly blown now, but with luck, the chaos would provide enough distraction for his escape. Back in the solar system, the Council fleet's coordinated attack had devolved into confusion. Some vessels fired wildly, their targeting systems compromised. Others drifted, their propulsion temporarily disabled by the spreading virus. Phase 2, ordered Blackwood, and the Earth vessels moved in closer, now broadcasting a new signal, complex code sequences designed to exploit the vulnerabilities Tara had identified in Council shields. Their shields are fluctuating, Tara reported. The virus is working. Launch boarding teams, Blackwood commanded. From each Earth vessel, smaller craft emerged, heading toward the disabled Council ships. These teams, elite soldiers equipped with reverse-engineered Council technology, had trained for months for this mission. On the Council command station, Director Vex watched in disbelief as reports came in of humans boarding their vessels. This cannot be happening, he said quietly. They were primitives barely beyond their moon just years ago. Admiral Krell, his earlier confidence shattered, turned to him. We underestimated them. The classification was correct, but our response was wrong. They aren't dangerous because of aggression. They are dangerous because of their adaptability. Director called a security officer. We've identified the source of the system corruption. It's originating from Archivist Mole's access codes. Vex's eyes widened. Find him. Immediately. But Dale was already piloting a stolen shuttle away from the station, transmitting encrypted coordinates to the Earth fleet. His 20-year mission was complete. Humanity now had an ally who understood Council technology and politics from the inside. Within hours, the unthinkable had happened. 7 Council vessels had been boarded and secured by human forces. The remaining ships had retreated to regroup, their systems still compromised by the spreading virus. General Blackwood stood on the bridge of the flagship, now joined by Dale Larson, finally free of his Proxian disguise after 2 decades.